Hello and welcome to another episode of the 90s Mad Podcast, your podcast for all things Newcastle United, hosted by three lifelong Newcastle United sporting buddies. Myself, D-Man, joined by my co-hosts Jefferson and AC. You guys good?
What's up? What's up? Good.
Better.
Yeah?
Better.
A lot better than last time? Yeah?
Boy.
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Better.
No, I feel all right, man. I feel all right.
Okay, that's more like it. That's more like it. Yeah. Before we start, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. You know, trying to get the numbers up and that. If you like what you see, let us know. And leave your comments as well. If you want us to talk about certain things, let us know. But we are here to review the recent game against Liverpool FC, and we are joined by two lifelong Liverpool supporting buddies. Double D and Big Sam, my co-host on the D&D Footy Factory.
Come on.
We host on every Saturday.
Yes.
95.5. You guys good? How you guys doing?
I'm not good actually. I'm not good, but
No?
I'm all right. we're gonna get into that. We'll get into that. I suppose we didn't lose, but yeah, it felt like a loss.
Good boy.
You
feel like a loss.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure. I tuned in every week. I'm not a Newcastle fan, just for the banter and that lot, and for Edward Howe to get torn bit from every week.
That's my guy.
But the worst thing, yeah, can't, like the long stuff streaks over in it, so I can't even tease D-Man about that. Yeah,
boy, it had to end sometime. Isn't it? But yeah, we might be joined by a third Liverpool supporting friend, Errol. Should be joining us shortly, even up a bit. But yeah, for those who've been living under a rock, Newcastle and Liverpool served up another classic at St James's Park. It ended Newcastle United 3, Liverpool 3. Great game for the neutral. Had a bit of everything: goals, missed chances, controversy, all of it. So we're gonna pick it apart, right? But just a quick summary of our thoughts of the overall game, because we are going to take this game in isolation first, and then we'll talk about other topics first. Other than that, but we'll start. I want to go to you, AC, first. What were your overall thoughts on the game? Oh, big up, Errol. Just joined in.
Yo.
Hello, sir.
Yes. Evening, lads. What's happening? He's all good.
All good, man. All good. Even out now. Yeah. Bit ironic. We've got 3 Newcastle, 3 Liverpool. Game ended 3-3, and that's perfect, isn't it? But you know, we seem to be the happier of the 3, but we'll get to it.
I heard that.
But yeah, AC, overall thoughts on the game itself?
Overall, like, think about, like, let's say 24 hours before that game. I was thinking that, you know, I thought it was going to be a long day at the office. I honestly thought, knowing the form that Liverpool are in right now, you know, a lot of people are saying right now they're probably the best team in Europe with the form that they're in. I thought it was going to be a tough game because, you know, our recent performances haven't been up to par. And I thought, you know, Salah was going to be celebrating by sitting on the boards as he usually does, you know. But to my surprise, you know, the team really did step up, and it was almost like a night and day comparison with some recent games. So overall, it was just a really thrilling game. But at the same time, I had to remind myself that Newcastle versus Liverpool is also always an entertaining game. It's never a dull game. And I think I have to remember that. It's always end to end. Like, it was a really competitive match where both teams are going at it. And what it does, you know, I think Newcastle, we almost like, we're best in those conditions where teams are trying to come against us, come at us, and we try break free on the break and hit them on attack. It's almost like that's the best ball in terms of like a house side likes to play in that regards. And obviously we're going to break it down with the goals and such and getting into it. But overall, I think it's a good point earned. We're going to get into Fabian Schär later as well, because you know that surprised me. That really did surprise me up to this moment.
The keeper as well, bro.
Yeah.
I was like, hold on, nah. That's not a goal, surely. It's one of them ones where you're waiting for the linesman to put the flag up or something. But
we'll talk a bit more in detail about that one. I personally, like you said, I was expecting Liverpool to come and give us a good beating. I know we turned up against the big teams, but our record against Liverpool is horrible. Yeah, I think it's 2015 or something like that. So, I expected the worst. I wanted to see a performance from the lads, given the way we performed the last couple of games, and we got that. And you mentioned our game plan about sitting back and hitting them on the break, but I did like the way we actually took it to Liverpool. We went blow for blow with Liverpool for most of that game, So, that's I have to give the lads credit for that. We didn't just sit back and blow the bus in it,
blow for blow, yeah. Yo.
Well, listen, we took it to you guys, didn't
it? Pause.
But there was enough promise in that game for me to be encouraged. I mean, it's an isolated game. We know Newcastle, they're totally inconsistent, but this game itself, I was very happy with the point, and we could arguably won it at the end, which we'll get to in it. But before I go to the Liverpool lads, Jefferson, what was your overall thoughts quickly?
Well, I'm going to put my usual villain role to the side. And D-Man, I think, what you put out there in your tweet and what you discussed in our group was very, very valid. This was a game in isolation, very simply. And based on sort of our previous performances, I think, we thought it was going to be some kind of devastation, destruction, massacre. That isn't what we got. There was a lot of ingredients that went towards, creating a great cake. That's what we got. And I haven't used the word sizzling and spicy for a while since I think one of the Euros games. So I'm going to use it for this. It was definitely sizzling, particularly with that first goal from Isak. Not getting into details, of course, but the spark came ignited there. And I think what we've got now is arguably one of the games of the season already. And I think there's a lot of heart and solace to take from the game, because bearing in mind what you said, that Liverpool were able to defeat the European champions, and very much evidently showed they are the team in form, and we took it to them.
All right, so before I go to you, Double D, I want to ask Errol quickly, right? Because going to what Jefferson said, you're coming off the back of the games against Real Madrid, Man City, Leverkusen, and whatnot, in confidence, right? What were your thoughts going into the game? Were you confident of getting the 3 points, or were you wary given it's Newcastle at St. James's Park and what we can do?
I'll be honest with you, to be fair, I always expected, after how well we performed against the likes of Bayern, Leverkusen, Real Madrid and Manchester City, I expected the Newcastle and Everton fixtures this week to cause us more troubles, just because obviously on paper you expect those other teams to be closer, but I think in terms of where we've been in the form that we've displayed so far, we've just got too much class and too much quality. I think Salah's been in a league of his own in terms of his performances for us at that point of the season. Don't even think his all-round performances have been at his peak of his powers either. I think it's been pure moments. He's living up moments, Mohamed Salah, in terms of his quality and his output. But I always expected it to be a tough game. We've got quite a number of away games over the next 5 or 6 weeks now where we've got to go to some tough away grounds and put in performances. And I didn't expect Newcastle to roll over in any way, shape or form. So from the outset, I was confident based on our form, but based on, history, knowing the team that you're going up against, knowing the threats that they've got, you've kind of got a flat track bully in midfield in terms of the physicality and all that. I felt for our team that might have just been one game too many for the amount of minutes in the legs for a number of individuals. So I expected it to be a tough affair. I was confident that we could still go in there and produce the goods, but ultimately I knew that it was always going to be a tight affair, being honest.
Okay. Double D, what were your thoughts on the overall game? A brief summary of how the game went.
I think it's probably the best way to sum it up is to use the old cliche that it was a game of two halves. I think in the first half, and I messaged you, D, I was like, have some mercy, man. Allow us to. Pressing was relentless. And I did say when you lot went live on your last pod, I said that I'm really worried about this fixture. I said because of how congested the fixtures were, I expected Quansah and Jones to start, and they did. And I was saying I think you lot will probably get a draw, because though we've been winning, Liverpool fans can always find something to complain about, and they were saying that they think such rotation should come into effect a bit more. And we just look tired. You lot were on it. And what annoys me about it is that you're not probably going to go to Brentford on the weekend now, get pumped because you put so much effort into
You
that.
know
Because,
it, bro. You know
because
it.
Brentford have got the best home record in the league, innit? So, because you lot put so much effort into that. But it's really good performance. Isak, great goal. Slot waxing lyrical about him, but after the game, so hopefully
You're not getting him. You're not getting him.
so hopefully this Nunes swap deal could come into effect. Yeah? Nunes and
Yo,
money.
man.
We've
We've already got a Joe Linton, bro. We've already got a Joe Linton battering, man, bro. You can't score goals, bro. Really got.
Don't need another Andy Carroll, man. We've been there, done that.
When we get into it later on, I'm going to cuss Nunes for that miss when he put it wide when the goal was gaping.
I'm going to get you lot's thoughts on Nunes a bit later, isn't it?
I've got no words for that. But no, you lot did well. But if we'd won that would have been, though it's early in the season, that would be a game. If we were able to go on and win the league, that would have been the game. You look at it, because that first half we went at the races. There were a couple of chances that Quanso run when Salah should have probably scored, to be honest, and McAllister hit the post as well. But when you lot attacked, we just panicking. Anthony Gordon just turns into like all season I've been watching, thinking, come yesterday now, he's back.
That's
on
why
it,
you
though,
wanted him.
Yeah,
That's why you wanted him, innit?
Get out, man.
But listen,
But
Big Sam, I know we got quite a few comments in it. Well, we'll get to the comments a bit later. But I know my brother's locked in as well. He's a Liverpool fan, and shout out my nephew Andreas as well.
Come on, Mac.
They're watching as well. But yeah, Big
Make
Sam.
sure you like, by the way. Make sure, guys, if you're on and you're watching, make sure you hit the like button,
that's
please.
right,
Like
man.
and subscribe.
That's it. Big Sam, the lineup that you got produced, got Slot put out. There was a few changes, notably Trent on the bench. You had Quansah and Gomez in the back line, innit? And obviously, Nunes up front. But what were your thoughts of the lineup itself when you saw it?
When I saw it, because like in our Liverpool group, I think it was Dubs' cousin who said that having Quansah and Gomez like working together could be a long night with them two, and it more or less was, because those guys, clown world, man. It's like a circus watching them two trying to communicate, non-communication even. What's his name? Gordon was having the run of the park. He was having a fun time. And as for Isak, the first goal he scored was incredibly special. You don't. I mean, there's some. Look, if you can keep that guy fit throughout the whole season.
Who did he spin? Who did he spin for the goal?
He spun Virgil van Dijk.
Okay.
Virgil van Dijk got spun. Cool. He got spun. Great ball by Bruno G.
Oh, who did Bruno duck in the middle of the park, by the way?
McAllister.
Oh, okay, cool. Just checking.
Goodness sake.
I'm
going. I had enough. I'm off.
Even Max Jam easily, bro. Max Jam easily. But that's really seagull. But I obviously I don't watch Liverpool that much. I didn't know that he was going to make Trent on the bench. It surprised me, by the way. But I know he's coming from injury in it, so maybe you have to manage his minutes and stuff. Maybe this was the game to do it, because I know you've got Everton at the weekend. But with Newcastle, we made a few alterations ourselves, notably bringing in Jacob Murphy, and we had Joe Linton back in the midfield. Jefferson, what were your thoughts when you saw that lineup?
Yeah, obviously we know about Murphy, and that it's basically not worked when he's played. Obviously, we've always had qualms about his decision making. His end product, particularly his crossing, has been poor. But we know that having him in the side, you're going to have a lot of energy. And if we're having to backtrack, then obviously it's an asset defensively. Now, Joe Linton, his rhythm in previous games has been really successful, getting further on that left side towards a striker. So I know in previous games in midfield, he hasn't actually played that well. And we were talking about, okay, has he found his position now? So I was a little bit worried about him.
Do you know what my brother calls Joe Linton? He calls him the Gruffalo.
I mean, we know he's a beast. I mean, the only person that's badded him up has really been Traore. He's the only one that I've seen physically barge him off the ball. But other than that, we know he's a colossus. He's going to bad up anyone. So having him in there adds to that, physicality. And I think what you find as well, it then allows Bruno to do his stuff, because if you add that to the tenaciousness of Tonali, all of a sudden You're able to liberate Bruno, and you saw that he was able to kind of thread that ball through the middle. So yeah, I was a little bit trepidatious when I saw Joe Linton had been pulled into the midfield, because I thought, well, are you going to disrupt his rhythm, because he'd been doing well previously.
Okay. AC, thoughts on our lineup?
Yeah, when I saw Murphy in the starting lineup, it did surprise me, because when's the last time he started a game? September? It's been a while, right?
Yeah,
so, you know, he's been missing a bit. And, you know, we felt like, I think he had a bit of an injury or something, but more or less, face it, he got dropped because his performance wasn't good. And I think it was a big, almost like for him to step to the plate in this game. Now, to be honest, it did bring some balance to our team, because I think we're all in agreement, Gordon on the right doesn't quite work. No matter how many times we try it doesn't work. Though Joe Linton on the left connecting with Willock does work, you know, we do suffer on the right-hand side. So I think seeing Gordon Pell on the left-hand side, his natural position, works better. Murphy did bring in some balance. And to be honest, he wasn't too bad. And, you know,
he was all right. He had some chances as well. And we're getting to that when he hit the posts. And, you know, there were some moments I was just like, you know, it's a classic Murphy kind of situation. It's Murphy. You know what you're going to get him.
Like, he does find himself in good situations. And I'm like, if you were just a finisher, do you know how much goals you would get in a season if you just put them away? But his work rate was good. You know, Joe Linton, the balance was in there. But I have to point it out, though, my friends, Tonali started,
we'll
get
to Tonali, bro. Yeah.
Tonali started, right? Tonali started.
Tonali.
I don't ever want to see this guy on bench again.
He could never be on the bench again. Unless it's injury.
Never.
Yeah. But what I liked with Murphy in the team and Joe Linton back in midfield, we had that midfield three that we all thought was going to be a great midfield for us, right? And we know obviously up at this point it hasn't really worked as well as it should. But I was interested to see, but the physicality that we had over Liverpool in that game anyway, I think was due to that midfield three. But we'll get to it. So let's start with the first half, right? And we're going to sum up the first half, because literally, I think we can all agree that Newcastle are the better team in the first half, right? They created more chances. I think from early on, Tonali we had a good move, and Tonali put a little curl shot that the keeper saved. We've had Murphy go through and hit the post, and then we've had we've had Gordon go one on one, which we'll talk about as well. But the goal itself, before that, Liverpool had a couple of opportunities. McAllister, namely, I think he had he forced a good save from Nick Pope, and then he hit the post, didn't he? At the outside of the post. But I'm gonna give the Liverpool fans to talk about that first goal first, innit, before we react to Liverpool, innit. So, Errol, I think it's fine. Let's go with you.
This is a nasty setup. I'm about to abort the stream, bro.
Take the lick, bro. Take the lick.
Time when it's Salah's time, innit? Errol, talk me through the goal, innit?
No, you know what it is. Do you know what it is? Yeah, and I've got to give a lot of credit to Alexander Isak for the finish first and foremost, because it was top draw. It really was, and I think even, you know, Liverpool fans can have arguments and debates about, you know, the Shaw goal, and you know, could Kelleher just save that? Should he just catch it? Should he put it away? Rare. But I don't think Alisson gets close to that Isak strike. You know, and Alisson is the best goalkeeper in the world. I think Kelleher has done an incredible job deputising on the whole for him in this period that Alisson's been injured. However, I just think the one thing that I like about Isak's movements on the goal, not only obviously he twists Van Dijk one way, then twists him the other way, which doesn't happen very often. I think, you know, we're all in agreement in that, in terms of how little people tend to get in behind Van Dijk or on that side, or really trouble him or get him to break a sweat. But what I did notice is, I think players panic when they're running into that channel with Virch, and they don't want to try and get into a foot race with them. They don't want to get into a physical, you know, stand and up battle with them and try and body him or anything like that. But what Isak was able to do was be clever enough to buy himself that little half a yard of space. He eyed up the goal, he lined up his shot, and he just let go. And I think that for him is, again, a player that's playing on confidence, because a lot of players don't want to try that. And I think that's one of the only ways you're really going to be able to negate what Virgil van Dijk brings to our back line is if you catch him off guard and you catch him by surprise. And I think when Virgil van Dijk is caught off guard and he's caught by surprise, that's when you have opportunities. And you to finish the goal from 25, nearly 30 yards away in itself is special. But to have the confidence, to have that kind of flat shot where it just flies in the blink of an eye, I just thought once Van Dijk is twisted in that way, there's not a great deal that he can do. But I think a lot of credit has to go to Isak in the way that he was intelligent enough to read that as an opportunity, because there was a couple of other options on for him in that moment in terms of what I've just described as you go and try and take Virgil van Dijk on properly, try and get yourself into the box. First and foremost, most strikers want to get themselves into the box in that opportunity. But he just thought, nah, let me just rasp this one time. And from my perspective, there's nothing you can do. You just got to sit there and you've got to applaud and say, I was sat in the studio with the lads last night. They was on stream in the other room, and I was just like, the lads that were just sitting in kind of like our little viewing room. I was like, yo, that was a special goal. That, you know, like you can't take anything away from a striker that a striker takes a shot on that early. But like I say, from my perspective, it's intelligence of the highest order in respect to Isak, because he's probably seen what other strikers have tried to do and thought, nah, let me just try something a little different. If I get half a yard, I'm going to lick off a shot and just see what they're saying. And we wasn't ready for it. I don't think defensively up until that point, we had shown that we was resolute anyway. So I felt like there was confidence there for the Newcastle lads that felt that he was still going to get something against this Liverpool defence. Maybe they seen the changes, the right back, the centre-half situation, and thought, we're not going to get a better chance to go toe-to-toe for this Liverpool team in this current moment. But they grew into the game. They had the confidence, and as I say, that first goal was just nothing short of special. I'll be real about it. Like, Isak's a quality finisher. He can finish. Do you know what I mean? He'll score all different types of goals. But for me, it was his intelligence that kind of stood out in that moment, because I think many strikers have tried to do something against Virg, and they get drawn into Virgil's game. Isak said, nah, not today.
You know what? And I think that's his third goal against you lot.
He loved the goal against us. He loves the goal against us.
He's had 2 disallowed as well. And I want to talk about.
He can't buy a win. He can't buy a win, but he loves a goal.
Yeah, listen, it's personal gain, isn't it? Personal gain.
That's it. Clap back, Errol. Come on.
You know them ones.
Have you noticed his celebration? Remember he had that when he scored in his debut against Liverpool, and he had that goal disallowed. Yeah. And he spun Van Dijk, and he looked back at him when he looked back like, yo, chub. He did the same thing again yesterday. He looked back at him, and all this is, it's about who's that, brother. Like, that was for Van Dijk. I'm telling you, that was for Van Dijk. But no, you're right.
Teammates soon, bro. Don't worry. Don't be teammates soon. It's cool.
That coming to Liverpool.
You got a nice 150 double D, yeah?
Van
you got a nice
150. No, Van Dijk's coming the other way. Don't worry about that.
150, bro.
But no, it was a special goal, and you have to give credit to Bruno as well. First of all, Lewis Hall beating Salah to the ball and stuff, but Bruno Guimaraes, bro, because we've criticised him for his performances of late, and however, Tonali in the 6 has allowed Bruno to push forward, which we've been screaming for. And
yes, sir.
The drop of the shoulder against McAllister and the through ball that he's put through to Isak was very, very good, man. And I think that epitomised his performance. But 80, quickly, what was your thoughts on the Isak goal?
Bro, that's going to go down in history, I think. I think it's a special goal. It's one of the ones where as soon as it left his boot, I was like, that's going in, because he licked it so hard. But
70 miles per hour, you know, dog. 70 miles per hour. I'm telling you, ain't no keeper saving that shit. That's top draw, bro.
Even if you get your hand to it, your hand
broke.
Broke your wrist. Yeah.
Lick off your hand.
Right. But the build-up was great though. But the build-up is so important because once again, Tonali, even though I don't think he had a touch in the build-up, but his position obviously allows Bruno to be forward. Now, we know that so far, you know, Bruno hasn't had many assists as he did have last season. But straight away now, because Tonali is playing in the 6, Bruno's playing a bit further up front, Bruno could do those passes all day. We've been saying as well, Isak has been struggling because of service. If you service the man, he will score. And this is a great example when you just serve it on the plate like that. The way Bruno spun the man and released that ball with the perfect weight. And obviously Isak just the second of that split turn, man, and it's just, what can you say, man? It's unstoppable. But obviously, you can see that straight away it just righted up the crowd as well. I think the crowd were up for it, by the way. That last the home crowd were up for it. You could see it, energy, because compared to the energy which was last week when we had West Ham there, energy was a bit lower, I think. But I think this time round, the crowd were really up for it, and Isak just fed the crowd with that goal. And I mean, people went nuts. So Isak, man, special guy.
So let's talk about the chances. Namely, there was one when Anthony Gordon's gone through, right? Jefferson, when he's gone through, did you think he was going to score?
No.
Why?
Based on current form, decision making, his touch. He looked like these days he couldn't even beat a man, and then if he does, he's going to fluff it if he gets into the area. I mean, to be honest, it wasn't the cleanest finish. So I was more relieved than anything to see it in the back of the net for him as well, because it's not like it hasn't been for the want of trying. He has tried. It's just the quality hasn't been there. And actually, so a couple of things, just very quickly going back to that first goal. I'm convinced that someone is watching this podcast. I'm telling you for free, because every time we make a criticism in the following game, it gets rectified. I specifically remember AC saying, "We just want them to shoot, man." And Isak shot. And then me and you, D-Man, were talking about just bloody thread it through the middle, man. Stop playing it to the sides. And that's what they did. And it resulted in a goal. But I digress. Going back to Isak now, we also talked about how he plays behind Gyökeres for Sweden. He almost plays in that sort of second striker role. And you notice in that passage of play, Isak thrived because he just played a nice weighted pass through. So yeah, I think that's something for Eddie to look out for. If he changes formation and goes to a 4-4-1-1, which Isak is used to for Sweden, it could be an option. And we can see more plays like that where we're seeing perhaps Gordon played through on goal. So I was pleasantly surprised, but relieved and happy for the boy. And hopefully now he can kick on from there, because we want to see the Gordon of last season.
Now I'm talking about the chance that he missed in the first half. The one-on-one.
Sorry. I thought you were talking about the goal.
No,
my bad. Yeah, I mean, well, look, if you as a total contrast, if you look at the chance he missed, that's what we've been seeing most of this season. And I was fuming because I thought, listen, I would have been ready to get him off and be like, look, because you have to put those away.
I thought he was going to round the keeper and stuff or something, but
I thought he was going to go around the keeper as well.
However,
that's a sign of a lack of confidence. Because again, if you can compare it to the game against Liverpool last season, he was more in the box, but he had to dribble towards the box. He finished his chance. You know, when we went 1-0 in front. So you can see
a confidence player, isn't he?
Confidence,
But just to counteract that, though, he did score in the second half.
Yeah,
so,
we'll get to it. But the keeper should have saved that. But we'll get to it. But
do you man think Van Dijk left a little on him?
That's what I was going to ask.
He should be off.
Van Dijk should have been off. He should have been sent off, man. He knew exactly what he was doing. If you see it in real time, he's daft, he's physically, he's assaulted him. Bro. Yeah, and it's not like. And it's not like. To
be honest, his head went like ragdoll.
But it's not like Gordon went down easily, is it? Yeah, the man literally clattered into him. It's not like Gordon was in his line of running as well. He deliberately left it on him,
and he's last man.
I'm surprised why didn't VAR looked at it and deemed it okay.
VAR looked at that for 10 seconds and said, "No, there's nothing in it." Nah, man, I'm not. I don't think it was a pen. I don't think that was a pen or a send it off.
We need a section just for the referee alone because he was scandalous. We're talking about Liverpool.
He's a shocking ref.
Matt was so yellow. He was so yellow card happy. Slot and Tyndall to go talk to him at half time to go calm the thing down.
No. Tyndall followed Slot because Slot went in to try and harass the referee.
Yellow cards.
It worked. Yeah.
It didn't work because if it worked, we would have got the penalty at the end, mate.
No,
we would have got a penalty at the end if it worked. It didn't work.
We should have penalties. We'll get to that.
I think, D-Man, we should quickly go to some comments. We got a lot of comments in the chat there. I'm going to pick this one up here from Rodney. From what I saw, the guys looked a bit leggy. Accumulation of games starting to catch up with some of them. Need to give Karen Birch a break or he'll burn out by January.
Yeah, he had a tough
That's the
time.
problem. That's the
Rod,
McAllister's suspended now, so he can't rest for the Everton game.
He's fifth yellow now, isn't it?
Yeah, he's missing that, isn't he?
No discipline.
No, that was the softest yellow card I've seen given out for us so far. That was pathetic. That was absolutely pathetic by the ref. But we'll get into the rest of the picture.
This is my brother, by the way. I don't have him on my nephew Mika. Hold tight, Mika. But he said, not our best game. However, I should have won if not for the last minute clanger. Salah is the best, the greatest Premier League. Oh, Andreas from Andreas.
Jeez.
We'll talk about Salah a bit later. Yeah? We're going to give him his flowers. We're going to give Salah his flowers, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Proud of him as an African.
Oh, this is from Mika.
Sure.
7 points clear still. A win versus Everton would make this a good result. Everton, they've kicked into gear a little bit, so that's going to be a tough one. But you're right, though. You're right. We make it a good result in the context. But yeah, any more? Easy to get up for this games up against the big teams. Need to start picking up points in the games where Newcastle are the dominant. Yes, precisely. Do not get Jefferson started. Do not get him started.
Rod's my guy, and that's a Liverpool fan. That's exactly what I've been saying. Yeah. We're gonna touch on that later.
Listen, all right. Definitely to go beat Everton.
Shout out Kabuzi, that's my brother right there. And also
big up.
And also my other brother.
I see him.
The whole family here, man. The whole family watching. My brother here. He's a Chelsea fan. You got to stop playing Murphy. He needs to be replaced. Start burying your chances. You could have won that game.
We could have won the game, but I think after the first half, I think we should have been up by more in it. But the second half starts now, and it was a completely different game. Liverpool woke up. I don't know what Slot said to them, but they woke up. And the frustrating thing about this was the goals we gifted them. They were well-worked goals, but we gifted. Lewis Hall gave the ball away needlessly for the first goal. So, now we talk me through that first goal from Curtis Jones, isn't it?
This is the thing with Salah, right? People will get onto, obviously it's a mistake by Hall as well, but people get onto Salah about performances and he's not aesthetically pleasing and he can't dribble properly, can't do that. But Mo Salah could be having the worst game. He is still the most creative, and this is the worry in terms of the number 10 position. He's still the most creative player in that Liverpool team, whether it be outside of the foot passes, threading the ball with a needle, and he's just looked up and he's just played it in, but no one's picking up Jones. Jones makes them runs all day long. Probably the only mistake really in the 90 that Tonali made, because he was very busy in that midfield. When I said free him, Eddie, I meant after we played them. You get me? After we played them. What is it? I see in the first half, I don't know who, it might have even been Gravenberch. He chopped someone and then played the ball out to the right, and I'm like, look at it. What's that? You get what I'm saying? But Gravenberch tired, you get me, because he's been starting and he's rested that. But it's still a great finish by Jones.
Yeah, I think people say that Pope should have done better, but that was a very good finish.
Very good.
Nothing he could have done.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, on the TL, your fan base, Pope, Almiron, though he's not playing. There's certain players that you just have to sneeze for your team, bruv, and they're cussing them, bruv.
Some of them deserve it, though. Some of them do deserve it.
But, obviously, Longstaff being the main one, but that's still a really good finish, cushioned finish by Curtis Jones, because at first I'm thinking we have to score early. Got the goal there, but then we go let you lot go back ahead.
Yeah, listen, I feared the worst. After that goal went in, I feared the worst. Yeah. But credit to us, because we recovered, and like I said, we went 2-1 up. Jefferson, that was the goal you described with Anthony Gordon. Now, Big Sam, should Kelly have saved that one?
He should have done better. But if I say that, then I'm taking away the craftiness of that goal, because a lot of it was, again, mistakes from us. You've got Gomez somewhere in midfield, running late, trying to make amends. And again, you've got Isak, who just waits for Bruno G's pass. Bruno G just wasted his onside.
Who received it from Tonali, but yeah, go on. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Gordon, you can't touch that. I mean, it's a brilliant. It's not the best finish, but the way he duppies my man before he lets off, that's quality. And yes, Kelleher should have done way better, but it's our mistake to begin with, so we deserve that.
AC, what do you make of Gordon's celebration? I know a couple journalists felt a bit away about it
when he was doing the.
Yeah, I don't know what I meant.
Yeah,
he shut up all his talk.
People talking about
because a lot of people have been talking about it and criticizing, and saying that like
his head's been turned.
His head's been turned and whatnot, and he's not good enough for the team. And this is the thing. And I actually said it on the last podcast. I did say Gordon is a good player, and like. We were in conversation, and Jefferson, I know you said some bold stuff like maybe he should be dropped, etc. And I was just like, nah, he's a good player. You keep him in the team because he can just pull out some stuff when he needs to. And he's definitely a confidence player. And I know that as the more the game gets on, the more he gets confident in it. But his work rate in that game, though, we have to pull it out. His work rate was consistent. He was on it the whole time. There's plenty of times he did ball recovery, pass the ball back, he's still going to attack, etc. The guy did not stop. And also it just shows once again sometimes the physical fitness of this team. When the intensity is good in Newcastle, it's almost unbeatable because every player knows what they've got to do. And him and Isak were just like almost like reading each other's minds. Isak, the way he played the ball to him and such, it was a great finish as well. And I'm happy for him. He's got his name on the team on the goal sheet now, because now hopefully that will kick on for him to score some more goals and such. Once again, building up that confidence. So
he'll probably wish he could play Liverpool every week though, with the way that he was playing last night. Because I don't know if you guys seen the FA Cup draw the other day. I don't know if you've seen on socials. There was a kid from the team that we're going to play in the next round of the FA Cup. Clearly a Liverpool fan. Clearly gassed that he's obviously going to get a chance to go and play at Anfield. And it reminds me that when players support a certain team or go up supporting a certain team, if they don't get to play for that team, the next best thing for them is to play against that team. To just show that side, look at what I'm about, look at what I'm capable of. And Anthony Gordon personified that for me last night in his performance, because it was, there was the talk of the summer, does Diaz go to Barcelona, does Gordon come to Liverpool, he wants to move, the Euros. I thought he was disrespected in the Euros, if I'm being honest, off the back of the season that he had. But again, a lot of players were under Southgate. I think he was just, he wasn't I think Southgate had his players, and if you weren't one of his guys, there wasn't much going down for you. There was no point almost. But Andy Gordon, yesterday, I just thought it was another example of, well, I can't play for Liverpool. I'm going to be the best player on the pitch when it comes to playing against Liverpool. And for large portions of last night, he was, in terms of being, if you, out of the two, if you've done a combined forward line, you've got Salah, Isak and Gordon in it. So after last night's performance, that'd be your front three. With that, even Liverpool fans now, I've got Liverpool fans telling me, in chats and on spaces and in this one and that one, go, Isak's the guy. We need a good man like Isak. And I'm like, it's hard to argue when you his opposite in the opposite number in Nunes isn't being a batsman, isn't scoring, isn't getting the chances in front of goal. And I just thought, from an Anthony Gordon perspective, it's great to see that he's got that confidence in himself to know that, these are going to be big games, and these are games where I can make a big statement and I can stand up. And as I say, as a Scouser, fellow Scouser, I've just got to respect it, because you might not get the chance to play for Liverpool, and that is kind of out of your control to an extent. But make no mistake about it, anytime this kid comes up against Liverpool, I know he's always going to be on job for that game. 100%. No matter what form he's going into the game with, that game he's turning up. He's on it. Would
you take him over Diaz?
I said no, and the reason I said no in the summer was purely because of the price tag touted. I've got a problem with I've got a problem with trying to spend 60, 70 bag on a kid that grew up in L whatever. Do you get me? Like, I just can't justify paying that much money for a kid that grew up down the road 5 minutes from me. But that's just me personally. I've got no qualm spending that money on a Colombian kid that I've never seen kick ball before, and he's lived in the rainforest all his life. But that's by the by. Whereas someone like Andy Gordon, I thought if it would have been about between if it would have been between 35 and 50 million, I would have probably entertained the conversation of, is it something we can go for? The reason I didn't want to let any of our forwards go in the summer was because Slot was coming in. I think if Klopp would have stayed and Anthony Gordon would have been priced in and around what I felt was what he was worth, I would have been more inclined to make that move. Because I think under Klopp, I've said I've seen enough of what Diaz brings to this team for me to feel that we can probably upgrade even by 10 or 15%. And if we do that, I think that's worthwhile as we're kind of building towards the future. Under Slot, I wanted to give everybody a clean slate, give everybody at least 6 months to see how do you operate with your wingers? How are you trying to operate with a number 9 in front of goal? What is it that you're trying to get out of them? How do you want them to play? Are we going to be more expansive? Are we going to be more clinical? You know, are you going to be basing it on the output that, you know, the likes of Diaz is able to offer? And up until now, I'm starting to see enough to then start to make some new decisions on the type of players that I would keep in and around that front line for Liverpool anyway.
Okay. So at 2-1 now, Big Sam, was that when you brought Trent on, or was Trent on before that?
Just after. So 2-1, yeah.
But that to me changed the whole trajectory.
Changed the whole game.
Yeah. That talk me through that second goal.
Can I ask one question? Can I ask one question there quick? Sorry to the Liverpool lads. Was you both surprised that Slot made no changes at half time?
Yeah, defo.
Absolutely.
The subs he made when it went 2-1, right? We all called for that in the group chat, for those subs to be made at half time, because we were losing the midfield. And one thing that has happened this season, like Chelsea did it to us, where they bypassed the midfield, but then the back four was settled. But because there's no Konate there, I personally think he's outperformed Van Dijk this season just slightly, especially one-on-ones and covering the right-hand side, right? So with him not there, you could see with Quansah and Gomez in there, the back line was not as fluid. So those substitutions have been made at half-time, because as soon as you get Trent on there, that gave Hall or whoever on that side,
who had a man after that,
and Newcastle just retreated after that, which is why I was so annoyed that we've let them still get the draw, because we were onto that. I thought, this is the panic I wanted from the start. You get what I'm saying? But yeah, those subs should happen at half time, and then the likelihood is we would have probably been able to nick it. But then in the end, and big up the Newcastle fans as well, because they were raucous. Yeah, because they're always
under
loud.
the lights.
Raucous, yeah, probably under the lights helped us. They were proper raucous in that way, and they did a lot to help them make that draw. But if those subs, I'm telling you, Sam and Errol, if those subs were made at half time, I think it would have been different. Even though I'll take the point anyway, because we could have lost the thing based on the first half. But yeah, man, and usually Slot, from what we've seen this season, he makes those subs at half time. But he waited here because Newcastle gave him something more to think about. He's been ruthless so far, which is why things have worked so well. Even though we did start the second half better anyway, because as we said, Salah setting up Jones, obviously you saw more intent in the second half. But yeah, man, if them subs came at half time, because everyone knows what Trent does, but you can't necessarily stop it, man. He was just getting forward. That's the furthest forward I've seen him probably be consistently this season, because he's been carrying the injury from the Euros. He's not been venturing forward, which everyone's noticed, consistently per game as we usually see from him. But yeah, man, subs definitely had to be made earlier.
Double D, just jump on your point. I said pretty much the same thing, but slightly different to my boys, and they said I was negative when it's a fact. Yeah, we could see the change after them subs. If you guys started with those players, no chance we're getting a draw. We would get slapped. Because we saw it in a 20-25 minute spell. We were getting killed, bruv. Once you had your first team, Gomez and Quansah gave us a chance, innit? If they had team,
but that was the thing. That was the thing. None of us wanted. Though he played there when he came on against City on Sunday, no Liverpool fan wanted Quansah at right back. We wanted him in the centre. You know what Joe Gomez does when he plays right back. As soon as we saw, we knew it would be trouble, and Newcastle were taking advantage of it. And I was just sitting there. When you're a supporter, you know when something happens in the game, right? And you get angry because it's happened. When you're a supporter and you're watching the game go by and you're silent, that's when you know like you're too pissed to say anything. I'm just watching the game like this. I'm just watching like that. And Newcastle is spotting us in the midfield. That's how I was.
Yeah, I think it's true as well when you deep it, because I don't think in terms of team selections, I don't think Slot's got many wrong for Liverpool so far this season across all competitions. I think he's, you know, you kind of got to give him a lot of credit because he's clearly done his homework in terms of how he wants the team to set up the players he wants, in what positions to do what job. You know, there's been a couple of occasions where Liverpool fans have been screaming for, you know, Gomez to come in at left back at times to, you know, to help out with, you know, where Robertson had a little bit of a dip in form and Simicast was a little bit injured or whatever. And there have been opportunities there where, you know, we've been screaming, get Endo on the pitch just to save Gravenberch's legs and whatever, what have you. This game, we can do wholesale changes, but he's got most of his selections right. I think last night was the first time where it was obviously that he got it wrong. And I think that's where us as Liverpool fans have kind of got we've been with this team for, you know, especially this squad for a long time, and we understand the qualities that they bring to the table. And I think Jarrell Quansah's confidence has dipped from where he was this time last season, which is obvious. Yeah. But I think there's been that age-old thing of, I can play next to Virgil van Dijk and you'll get a tune out of me because I'm next to Virgil van Dijk. Do you get me? And I'm not training with these men every single day. Quansah is. So you could have a difficult game, but to leave him against such a threat as Gordon on that side and expect Gomez to cover was asking a lot. Whereas if you just put Gomez over that side and give Gomez that job to lock off Gordon and let Virgil van Dijk talk Quansah through the game like he has done in previous games the last 12 months, I think we would have probably had a little bit more stability about us, because he didn't know what to do when he had that ball on that right-hand side. He didn't know the passing lanes to put the ball into. He wasn't able to just tee Salah up easily and just knock it into his path. That whole area of the pitch, which is such a strong area of the pitch for us usually, was completely broke down in terms of how we would set up and operate with the ball in possession. So once we made those changes in the second half, it was like clockwork. Everybody knew the job.
Was it the third goal, Big Sam, which was the really well worked one? When you
third goal was quality. Third goal was quality because it goes low key, goes through Szoboszlai's legs. You know, Szoboszlai does the little dummy, goes back out, and that's it. The telepathy to know that Trent is going to be in that space. I don't even have to look for my man. I've got eyes in the back of my head because I know where Trent wants to get the ball when we're this high up and we push Newcastle back. So when him being able to do that, there's that telepathy. He opens his legs, he splits it. Trent then plays the ball. I can't remember the last time I seen Salah spin like that on the ball and just lick it into the bottom bins. Like that was pure hunger and desire. I've been shouting it for the last 3-4 weeks now. There's nobody in this league that wants to win the league more than Mohamed Salah this season. He has felt disrespected by enough people who don't rate him and think he's in that world-class bracket anymore, and he's reminding people consistently that he's still that guy. It was a brilliant goal.
But that's the thing as well, though. Yeah, because I was going to say what Errol said spot on, because like even after that first half, I mean, atrocious. But that second half, I don't think Slot is like Klopp, and he would give him the hairdryer treatment. He would just say to them in a more assertive tone, "Do better." And the way they came out, even before the half start, I told the guys in the group that there's no way we're going to play that second half like we did the first half. And even though the subs weren't made immediately, you could see things were moving, you know, better for us. And then obviously when the subs came on, then things started to click. And then we got that second goal, and it was just magic. And Salah, when you
went 3-2 up, right?
He licked off the ball. How did he lick off the ball?
No,
he
lick off the bar
outside of the foot as well.
That was mad. That was mad.
That was
But at
crazy.
3-2, did you think, Big Sam, did you think you had the game? That was the game?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I honestly did, because the goal was like, it was like one of those things where, like, to score like that, it's you know, and I've been a critic of Salah for a while. I mean, I love the guy. But Dubs will know, and obviously Diamond, you know, on the show, I've said my piece about Salah. I've not been, you know, I still think he's due for a mid-season slump. I hope he proves me wrong. but just the quality of the guy is just amazing. In moments like that, to score like that, fantastic. So I thought that was it. That was it. And then obviously I was wrong.
And then we go to AC for the equalizer. Yeah, that's your
Yeah. Boy.
What minute was you lot's offside goal? Because I left the room, bruv. I was ready to punch that.
I can't remember. But
My head was hot. My head was hot when this went in. My head was.
Yeah.
I knew it was offside. For me, it went in. I knew it was offside anyway. But the equalizer, though, AC. Talk me through that.
Which one was that again? Remind me.
Who do you mean the equalizer? Yeah. Fabian Scher, bro.
Oh, Fabian Scher. Sorry. Of course.
I thought he was trolling us then, you know. I thought,
my brain was on blank, man.
Which one was that? Like they popped us 6-3, bro.
He wanted to be a shit from the Liverpool man to say who it was, man. I can't run.
We've been had. I feel like Big E right about now. We've been had, man.
That was a lie, bro. No, go on.
So taking my mind back on this one. Obviously, it comes from the free kick, doesn't it? With Bruno taking the free kick, and it was one of the ones where I didn't think nothing of it, to be honest, and I didn't think anything was going to come of it. For some reason, I was just like, no, because it was quite far out as well. The free kick was quite far out. And I had a feeling, something they told me that Bruno's just going to aim for the back post, but no one's going to get to it. And also recently, just generally, our free kicks, we're not scoring from free kicks recently as a club. We're just not. We're not. And, but boy, when it went, it almost like the ball went over in slow motion. I was just like, why is the ball taking so long to land? And obviously, your keeper, and I was just like, what? And
he just pulled his hands away.
Shah just appeared, and I was like, what?
Good finish,
though. The ball just like rolled over the line so slowly, and Van Dijk was just like looking at it. I was like, what's going on? And then they're celebrating. I was like, what? And it's a classic thing where you feel like, nah, linesman's going to pull this up. Linesman's ready for the flag.
Yeah.
No flag. I was like, oh, okay.
But I do think we'd have been hard done by if we didn't get something from that game. The way we performed, I thought.
No,
we deserved the point.
It was a very deserved point. I think it is a game of two halves, definitely. Because the more you think about that second half, and when Trent came on, and I think there's more things that as Newcastle fans we can look at.
We've got to talk about some of the decisions, right? So first of all, let's talk the Liverpool contingent. The foul, the incident on Isak in the box, was that a penalty?
It would have been soft, but I've seen him given.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
Guys, come on, guys, come on.
No,
it's a trip.
I've seen him given. I've seen him
Clear
given.
as day.
No, that
it's a pen, man.
I've seen him given.
Double D, that pen.
They've been given before.
No.
They have been given, and part of me has this like my conspiracy hat on, but like, if that happened to Salah in that game,
it's a pen. 100%.
It's not though, I think like that's like a misconception. Salah doesn't. Did you not see the stat the other day that came out? Salah only.
You're right. But if that was Jota, that's a pen.
But
because
the joke is as well. Do you know the joke is as well? In the second half, there was a trip on Salah, but he got straight back up.
Yes.
But do you know how Isak was a definite pen? Because after the trip, my man is trying his best to stay on his feet and keep honest, and he's looking like Bambi on ice. Bruv, it's a foul. He's going like this. And he's trying because he wants to get the chance away, but he's been fouled and he can't keep his balance.
Doing that the whole game.
But okay.
And what about the handball?
Forget
Get away with that one.
When you deep it though, yeah. Do you know why I know it was a penalty? Because he doesn't give ours that was a penalty. The referee turned round when Luis Diaz is getting pulled because he's getting pulled from outside the box. He makes himself into the box. He looks like he's going to go down. He gets pulled. He feels the contact. He goes down. He gets the way the ref ruled that out. I was fuming. I was saying he's a shithouse. He's done this. He's done that. But I was saying the reason he's not give it is because he didn't give theirs up the other end before. So in his head, he's now leveled out the balances of you could have had one. You could have had one. None of you have got one. Crack the fuck on.
All right.
That's it, yeah.
Why has he cut the game at 95 minutes and 8 seconds?
That was jokes.
Remember, in
That
it was a foul for 2 minutes, right? And we scored. So there's extra 30 seconds celebration. You're cutting it. Look at that. We're on the break. Is that Wilson? Isak and Wilson. You put it through to him. He's through on goal. You call full time at that point. You're taking the piss, bro.
Did you not do that towards last season? Did that not happen towards last season at your gaff? Was it at half time? We was clean through.
Can you remember what happened at Anfield?
No, last time.
97 minutes every second. After
No.
Last season, St. James's, you should have had 2 sent off. You should have had Trent sent off and.
Nah. Yeah, you all know that Gordon found thing, yeah? Gordon found Trent, so he should have been booked. So because
but they both should have been booked. They both should have been booked. Yeah. But they should have got sent off after that, man. Yeah. But are you going to
Joe Linton, ruffian?
Yeah.
Like I said, yeah.
Ruffian Joe Linton.
What did you want to do?
You played 10 men for 70 minutes and you couldn't beat them.
No, we deserve to lose that game. All right, fair enough. Right. But before we go on, is there any controversy about this then? Are you saying this was fair? Why
you know what? I thought that was. I won't lie. I was surprised that he called time on it because I thought, wow, these guys are on. You know,
if it's the other way around, he's not calling time. If it's the other way around, he's not calling time. That's the power you big. I
don't see the drama myself. You get me? Like Arsene Wenger, I didn't see it.
Right, listen. We've got a couple more comments before we talk about a couple of players. We've got a couple more comments.
Let's get back into the comments.
Well, from Rodney about Diaz, Gordon and Diaz.
Liverpool, come on, Jeff. He's not there. Big up, Jeff. We also we will have a 5 minutes Chelsea segment every episode with boots against snow. Listen, Chelsea play, right?
Yes. If it's talking about Cole Palmer, yes.
No, Cole Palmer, he annoyed me. He's captain at FPL and he only got 1 goal against Southampton. 10 men Southampton. Get out of it. Get out of it, man. Yeah. But he said something about Gordon. He said something about he's not taking Gordon over Diaz or something like that. Rodney said that.
Where we got?
I agree.
There's no way I'm having Gordon Diaz conversation. Diaz offers much more than Gordon for what he would cost. Would have been a crazy transfer.
Diaz is better than Gordon.
The fact that we would have ended up giving away Joe Gomez would have been more than travesty for me, but I forget what I'm saying. I mean,
all right.
His versatility is needed.
You three, talk to me about Darwin Núñez.
I'll have you not here till midnight.
No. The one thing before I go, the one thing I'll say about Darwin is, I have went to bat for Darwin for the longest time in terms of I believe there is a player in there of an elite level that can play at club. I think he would be a killer for Atletico Madrid. I feel like they would turn him into an absolute monster of a striker because that's what they do. However, the one thing that I've been disappointed with out of all of what's been good for us this season is Slot's lack of ability to get the best out of the 9, whether that's been Núñez or whether that's been Jota. I don't think, and I'm so intrigued to see what Slot's version of a 9 would be. If he just got an unlimited budget tomorrow to say, yo, bring in whatever man you want to play. I just want to see the archetype that he wants because everything at this moment in time is built so much around Salah. Now, that's great in isolation and for this season because that's what he's got to work with. But if Slot's going to be the gaffer for the next 4 or 5 years, I need to start being able to see what it is you can do. Klopp did that with Firmino. Klopp, even though he knew he had to have other pieces around him, he knew that Firmino was the type of operator he needed to knit everything in if Salah and Mane were going to work in tandem. At this moment in time, I am yet to be convinced that Slot either knows what it is or is capable of getting out of the current players he's got around and that is available. So that's not to just be leveled at Núñez, because I think Jota comes into that conversation as well. But in terms of Darwin, this system is not designed to get for him to thrive. It's not designed for him to get the best out of him. And I think taking yesterday's game in isolation, he was poor. You can't defend the finishing. You can't defend how he was in front of goal. I think there have been recent games in recent weeks where he's been good for us in terms of his all-round work rate and what he's offered the team and his performance, but he's not been getting the service. Yesterday, it wasn't necessarily about services because the chances dropped right in front of him and he just couldn't finish his dinner. And that, to me, is where I get frustrated, because I'm like, bro, I am defending you with my life. I'm getting it from all angles. People are telling me you're not that guy. I just need you in front of goal to shut people up. You're only going to get, last season he was getting 6-7 chances and maybe scoring 1 or 2. This year he's only getting 3 chances, tops, if you're lucky, and 2 of them might be half chances. You're getting 1 clear-cut chance a game if you're lucky. Blood, you've got to take your chances. You've got to finish it, innit? Because all that run, being a left-back, that's good when we're winning. That's good when we're seeing out a game. That's good when, we're backs against the wall and we've got 5 minutes to just kill off a game. Not a problem. But I can't have you being left back in 55 minutes and in 32 minutes and all these random times you're just popping up in a left back position. But no, you need to be getting us on the front foot and you need to be a killer in front of goal. So there needs to be improvement. I'm just yet to be convinced that Slot fully can tap into the potential and utilise whoever it is as that 9 for us. At the moment, Darwin's the guy getting the slack because Jota's injured. Got to give him credit for being fit and being available. But Liverpool, if there's one thing we've had in my life, I'm 33. I've only ever seen us win 1 Premier League title. Irrespective of what we've won, we've always had killers up top. Since I was a young buck. I'm talking, attackers from Barnsley, Fowler, Owen, Heskey, fucking, even the likes of Fernando Torres, Suarez, Daniel. You can just reel them off because
don't forget TT Camera, bro.
Sean Dandy.
Eric Mayer. The manager, bro.
Right, what do you know about Camera, bro?
Daffy the dog.
Legend. And that's the only thing. It's like we haven't had to teach any of them. They just had it. And it's almost like we're having to teach a player in Darwin to be able to do that instead of it just being a raw natural ability. And I think if it doesn't click in the next 6 months, I think there would be a conversation for him to be sold in the summer, because I'm waiting to see the type of player Slot wants in that position. If Salah's going to stay for the long term, it's about having someone to complement him in tandem going forward, because someone said it before, I think it might have been Big Sam, he's expecting a mid-season Salah slump. And if you know, that's very, the only saving grace is there's no AFCON this year for it to coincide with. So we might get a blight. But if that slump happens, I'm looking around thinking who's going to be the one to grab the game by the scruff of the neck, because Salah can go hot and cold, but he gets output consistently. If he goes cold and there's no output, who do we rely on? Who's going to carry this team in terms of goals? And that's a big question for Liverpool right now. But lads, I do have to jump off.
Before you go, is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want to plug?
Do you know what? I'm a little bit quiet at the minute, to be honest with you. Obviously, I do Redmen TV. I do quite a bit of content with them for watch-alongs, home games and stuff like that. I haven't got a home game now. I think it might be Fulham next week or something. But yeah, if you're on Twitter, my social is Solitaire Side Up. A little bit of a random one. But yeah, thank you very much. Big up the chat, everybody. Big up all the family support, man. We love to see the family support and the team. So big up every time. And D, man, thank you for inviting me on, man. I appreciate it.
Anytime, man. Welcome anytime.
Right.
Big
Stay
up.
blessed, boys. Stay safe.
Well, I might as well, because Errol's jumping out. I just wanted to ask a question on Núñez to obviously Double D and Big Sam. Obviously, everything that was just spoken about must add to the frustration, because what the boy seems to do is score world-class goals and bangers, but miss the easy chances.
That's what he does. That's
what he does, bro. What's the situation there?
This is the thing. Is that for me? It's like one of the things that Errol just said with regards to Salah is that him and Nunes work well off each other. There's chemistry there. But when you need Nunes to step up, the moments that come, some of them are simple. He'll score the most difficult, all the difficult chances he'll score, like the long range shots and all that kind of stuff, and the tricky ones, like the one that he scored. What was the one when he rounded the keeper and he scored it, and he scored after that? I forgot recently.
Rounded the keeper. You sure he rounded the keeper? I don't
normally misses when he rounds the keeper, bro.
I don't remember the keeper. Oh, what, Villa?
Yeah.
Do you think that's rounding the keeper?
Not rounding the keeper, but he made more of that than he needed to. But the thing is with him is that he's a troublemaker, sometimes in the bad way, but sometimes in a good way. And when it works out for us in a good way, it shows his value as a troublemaker, nothing more than that. I still think there's a player there, like Errol said, and I am kind of still rooting for him. I'm still wanting to see the player that Benfica had, that was at Almira, the one that Suarez was talking about, waxing lyrical about. But we've only seen moments. We've just seen moments, and we need to see that more consistently. If he's playing out wide or leading the line, we need to see goals from him. Don't get me wrong. He works extremely hard, and that's great, but that's not all we need from you. We need another kind of output. We need goals from you. And some of the chances
they defined, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just there was, even in the game yesterday, apart from the one that he fluffed when he was right in front of goal, there was one that when the ball came across the line, across the face of goal, he just missed it. Yeah. And I was thinking, and I was vexed because I was thinking, I can't anticipate that coming across the face of goal. What are you waiting for? Why are you always last to the punch?
Sam, do you know what made me laugh about? Sam, do you know what made me laugh about that one when it went across the face? In the group chat, about 3 people said at the same time, "When the fuck is Jota back?"
The Jota the killer. But quickly, Double D. Yeah, you see with quickly before we move on to Newcastle with Salah, because my brother put a thing in the group chat, one of the group chats, and he said Salah's the best wide forward that the Premier League's ever seen. Yeah, and my other brother was trying to say it's Cristiano Ronaldo. Yeah, I'm saying it's Mo Salah. Yeah, do you think he's now cemented his place as that top guy? I
think so. The funny thing is, this morning I was arguing with my old work lot about it, and we were doing our best 5 players, Premier League players all the time, and I put Ashley Cole in there, and I was reprimanded because they're saying, "Oh, you can't put like a defender or whatever in there." And then I was thinking, well, you should have just said, well, best 5 midfielders and attackers or whatever then. But in terms of the wide forward, I think it's him, because as we've even discussed briefly on the show, D and Sam, it's the output. He's been here longer than obviously Cristiano's stint now, right? But it's that consistent output. And though Cristiano got a Ballon d'Or whilst in the Prem, in terms of what Salah's done season by season, I think it eclipses it, more assists and whatnot as well. So I personally myself would say that it's Salah. The guy's just tremendous. Like the first goal, we've seen him do that before, even though it was on his chocolate foot. But the second goal, the first touch completely took out the Newcastle players, because you can see on the replay, you can see on the replay from behind the goal, they weren't expecting to trap the ball, so they were all getting ready to block because of come on,
football intelligence.
The way I screamed, man. But but even going back to Nunes, there was a point, I think it was Jefferson's point. Slot had Santiago Jimenez at finals, and he's the complete opposite to Nunes. Nunes at Liverpool, hot and cold. For Uruguay, unbelievable. Jimenez doesn't score that much for Mexico, but you see in league games, this guy is a beast, bro. Right? And West Ham tried to buy him before they got Fulkrug, and they're saying that it might not be anything truth right now. They're saying he said no to West Ham because he thinks Slot's going to come and get him. You get what I'm saying? Because that's the type of finisher. Nunes, everything, as Sam and Errol have said, work rate, everything helps out defending corners, clears and whatnot. But the guy's not good enough in front of goal. I never wanted him in the first place. D got Coppish on our show about 2 years ago, and Matt and Callum were saying this one, they didn't want him anyway. Klopp has this thing of loving and wanting players that do great against his club. Remember, he was blowing smoke up Martinelli's arse not too long ago, and since then, Martinelli has been cheeks, right? But the board or committee or whatever, they wanted Nkunku. It was Salah. It was Klopp that push. It was Klopp that pushed for Nunes. And look, and even, I don't know if you saw in the Merseyside derby last season, Nunes was cussing, and then Klopp was like, shut up and hushing them thing there. So you could see that because Klopp knows you've trusted him, you've not delivered. You get what I'm saying? So if you stay there any longer,
against Liverpool as well, I think in the Champions League, I think
but
sealed the deal.
Benfica, the finish, he dinked it over Alisson like it was an R9-esque finish. Yeah. And he's fooled us all. He's a fraud. You know what I'm saying?
85, 86 million.
Wow. In terms of Newcastle, right? Before we go to Jefferson about certain things, who were your standout players for us last night? You pick two.
Pick two players. You know where I'm going with this. These guys. I've waxed lyrical many times, episode after episode. The old debate about putting this guy to start teams in our starting 11. Eddie Howe has to make it work, etc. Yesterday we see it work. Now, it's been a long time coming. We've been wanting this for so long. We scream about the double pivot. We scream about changing formation. We talk about it has to work. It has to work. And yesterday was good evidence that it could work. Now, obviously, there's going to have to be more games to see this in the limelight to see how it could work going forward. But these two were outstanding, though, man. Bruno was outstanding. Honestly, like he controls the game. He does that so many times where he just receives the ball, holds it, shields it, lays the pass off, and that's what we did for the goal as well. But Tonali, though, for me, he was probably my personal man of the match, really. I just thought he just really put a good shift in. And I mean, I've always had faith in Tonali. I think our fan base is a bit weird where some people just like don't have faith in him or feel like, but at the same time, the guy never has enough time to prove his wealth, He doesn't have enough time because he doesn't get to start games that often. Or when Eddie Howe wants to put him on at 75 minutes, it's like, what are you going to do to affect the game now? It's too late. But we can see that he does so well in that sixth position because he's able to dictate the game. He controls the speed. He looks so confident in possession. We wax lyrical all the time about his vision and almost like seeing 3 passes ahead. And I think sometimes, we just lack on certain things because, let's face it, the quality around him sometimes is not that good because unless he's passing it to like Bruno himself, they can read each other's minds quite well. But you can see sometimes when he's laying it off to certain other players, the link up is not too great. But I thought, honestly, these two they were shining yesterday. And I think these two players are responsible for our great performance. And kudos, man. I'd like to see more and hope it continues.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I think Tonali was our best player. And I noticed that the commentator said, bar Mo Salah, they would have given it to Tonali. What I liked is that those two, along with Joe Linton, it worked well. They all brought something different. So Tonali, like you said, dictating the play, the recovery runs, nicking the ball and the defensive display. But it allowed Bruno to push further forward and have that attacking guile that we know that he's capable of. And he got the 2 assists. There's no coincidence that he got 2 assists from the game, right? Yeah, he and the thing is, him and Tonali weren't so close together. Usually they pass or they're in each other's way. Yesterday they were spaced out. When one took up one position, one took another, and then obviously Joe Linton bringing the physicality to it. I thought that was a perfect trio. And Liverpool couldn't, for most of the for 45 minutes at least, Liverpool couldn't match that physicality. And I thought that was really well. But I agreed. I would say those two, obviously Isak as well. Isak, he was everywhere. Like Jefferson said earlier, dropping deep.
Honestly, I think that was Isak's best game so far this season.
Yeah, 100%.
And
100%.
hands down. And you know, it just shows once again. It shows his worth. This guy is Isak is
He's
outstanding.
the crown jewel, man. He's the crown jewel. I think
outstanding.
we can't afford to. Listen, let's be honest. We are going to lose him in the summer. Yeah, it's going to be a shame. But
No,
you know,
I don't
If
think
we
he
don't make
will.
Europe,
For record
if we
fee.
don't make
I
Europe,
don't think Isak will go. I think, you know, and I've come to terms with this already. I think I told you guys many a time we've spoken about this, and I said I'll come to the terms of the fact that next summer I think Bruno will be the one who leads the camp, because he's just a great player. And he's at that particular age where I think it is time for him to kick on. He will go into other clubs, whether it be Man City, whether it be abroad, whatnot. I think he'll be the player to go. But I think Isak still got something to prove here. But I also think the price tag on Isak is going to be too much. I don't think
it's
people.
going to be a lot.
We're talking like silly monies. It's going to be like
120 minimum.
It's going to be
120, 120, 140. It's going to be silly.
People
Yeah.
forget
Before I
we
go
paid
to,
70 for him, isn't it?
yeah, 6 we paid for him. I think it was.
Yeah.
But before I go to, I'm gonna a final question for the Liverpool lads. Like Jefferson, this is your time now, yeah? Because
Oh
obviously,
man,
yeah, we're gonna give you a couple
see
minutes.
this guy.
Yeah?
You see this guy, boys. Yeah, they've
No,
left it.
but-
I look like the villain right at the end. Yeah,
No,
because
but obviously-
I do positives to say as well.
it was a very good result, a very good performance, should I say, from the guys. But we know that we have to take this game in isolation, right? So, what are your thoughts on it moving forward? Is this show a start of something promising, or is it just take this game on and you're still not convinced what we're seeing?
You see, I like what Double D mentioned at the start of the episode, because I'm a big Marvel fan. So yeah, it was literally like, you know, an isolated film where we've just like Doctor Strange and the multiverse of madness. We've gone into a different universe. We're from 636 and we've gone into 527, right? We've had a little adventure and we're gonna go back to the multiverse, our universe where we're from. Everyone needs to come back down to earth, because everyone was getting too excited.
Even Normie.
It's one game, okay? So, you know, you've got Palace and you got this, and we've been very Jekyll and Hyde this season. We've never had consistency. We've never been able to maintain. The same issues remain. We have a coach who is not flexible, who makes the wrong decisions, the wrong choices. What we did have yesterday is a group of individuals who turned up, not necessarily for the manager, but for the fans and for themselves, ideally. And when we look at it going forward, we know that we need to back a result like this up with following results as well. Otherwise, it's essentially a waste. We talked about this before as well in the previous episode, right? That the team will probably be fickle enough to collect a result. Why? Because they've done the same against Arsenal and they've done the same against Man City. So some people arguably weren't surprised that we turned up yesterday. Maybe not to that manner. Maybe they weren't expecting a 3-3 draw. But so I just think there's a little bit of pragmatism that needs to settle in, that you're going to have the cult of Howe saying, yeah, we've proved you wrong, blah, blah, blah. No. Because I want to see what's happening in the next upcoming games. And listen, like I said earlier, at the end of the day, we were able to capitalize. Don't get me wrong, the intensity was high. Intensity was high, particularly in the first half, but we dropped off in the second half. And I think we were very fortunate that Liverpool players were tired. They had to make some changes. If they started with their full strength team, I'm telling you now, we would have lost the game, because once their full strength players came on, Szoboszlai, Trent, and that came on, we couldn't cope. And it goes back to what we said in previous episodes. At the end of the day, the high intensity, everybody running like headless chicken and madmen, is not sustainable football. We need to evolve into a possession side. If you notice, Liverpool were doing that in the early days under Klopp, but if you notice, they can play with the ball to feet as well, and we're just not there yet. So performances like this will be once every 4 or 5 games. Would we like it to be every week? Yes, but I'm trying to be as realistic as possible. And people are going to be listening to this thinking I'm a villain. I'm just a realist at the end of the day. I'm not going to get too carried away.
I don't think for one, I haven't seen anybody get too carried away with this particular one. They've said great performance, but it means nothing if they've said it means nothing if we don't turn up against Brentford. And why can't we do this consistently? And there's many things, like you said, it's our style of play as well. You know, when teams allow us, when we allow teams to have the ball and we sit back and break, that's when we're most dangerous. And a lot of the teams don't do that now, especially the lower league. They sit back and give us the ball, and that's where we struggle. So you're right. We have to see, this means nothing unless we have to collect 6 points for the next 2 games. Yeah. And if we don't, this means nothing. But I think most fans were just celebrating this performance in general because, again, we thought we'd be up for it, but we thought we was going to lose. Yeah. And we didn't lose.
We all thought we were going to lose.
We scored 3 goals. We shot outside the box. Isak played very well. Gordon looked like the old Gordon, you know, just for 1 game. And also, we talked about how good Liverpool were in the second half when they brought in the players. We still scored 2 goals. Yeah. So it's not like they were invincible. Like, we kept up with them. Yeah. So in that respect, you have to take the positive from this game alone. Moving forward, it's like from today, it's a complete reset because not many people predict we beat Brentford, you know, even though we've never lost to Brentford in this league. Yeah. But the way Brentford are playing at home, I think they've got the best home record in the league. Yeah. So it's like we can't go in there as favourites. We can't. Yeah. So it might be a surprise if we win.
But just to add to this as well, I know you're saying that like if Liverpool started with the full strength side, that the game wouldn't have been the same way. But I don't think so. Like, you see how rounded up our players were yesterday. Hall in that first half was fantastic, and not people are highlighting it. And I think at the moment, Lewis Hall is one of our consistent players in our team. He doesn't really put much wrong. And I think, to be honest, at a particular time when obviously Trent came on, it is hard work because Trent is just, you know, he was pushing up the pitch, man. And all of a sudden, it's a lot to deal with. But I feel like, you know, the team really stood up yesterday. And I think even if the full Liverpool squad was stepped up there, I think he would have still scored that goal. You know, it's just one of those things. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that Brentford game goes and such, you know. But I think just generally from what I'm seeing from the fan base, I think the fan base are just happy to see a good performance. And I think that's why I stand as well. I'm like, that was a really good performance. It was a really entertaining game. When we go over the highlight reel this season, this is going to be one of the games where we go, that was end-to-end football. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Yes, man, there were some bits I was like, what's going on? And you're upset sometimes to the mistakes, this and that, but like, it was a great game.
It's similar to the 3-3 against Man City.
There was one thing that did upset me because like, no one's really mentioned this, and I feel like no one's really talking about it, but like, Eddie Howe making triple substitution at 87 minutes. I'm like, my guy, why are you picking up so late? So like, things, you know, things are not perfect, right? But I was like, bro, why are you bringing on Wilson, Willock, Longstaff at this stage, right?
I forgot about it. Yeah.
Right? It was just like, what the hell? And in fact, when that happened, we even crumbled it a bit more. And I was like, nah, you messed up. It's just like, I always criticize Howe on the substitutions because he's either going to be doing it too late or he just, because by the time he did that, he was 3-2 to Liverpool. So I was like, you did the change too late once again. But it's like,
but listen, I know we're going to wrap up in a minute, but I just want to talk to Big Sam and Double D about Liverpool and their title challenge. Yeah, obviously, I'm guessing you see maybe 2 points dropped, but you wasn't guaranteed to win. Double D, you said you know you were a bit
expecting a draw,
anxious about the game. So how many points clear you now? 7 points.
7 points.
7 points clear of Chelsea and Arsenal. Yeah, are you still confident that you can go all the way, or are you looking over your shoulder now at those two coming back? Even Man City, because obviously they got back to winning ways yesterday. But how are you feeling after that?
Everyone thought when they were talking about how hard our November was going to be, and we were going to be found out. It was the likes of myself, Flex, my cousin, were always like, it's the start of December as well, because after getting the win against you lot last season with 10 men and whatnot, I knew you'd be up for it. Crowd was up for it. And as AC's even said as well, even if, well, in terms of the fit players, because obviously the likes of Alisson and Jota are out that would have started the game, even if our main 11 had played, I still think the intensity that you lot would have brought, I think you just would have been up for it, and you still would have caused us some problems as well. But it was the start to December was important because of the Newcastle game, then Everton, and then even we've got Fulham and Tottenham after that. We have to get through that period as well to be more confident. So I'm annoyed that all three of City, Arsenal, and Chelsea won yesterday because we played first on Saturday. I don't know why after playing on Wednesday night we've got the early Saturday game. It makes no sense to me. But so yeah, and as you said, Everton scored 4 yesterday out of the main. So I'm a little skeptical. I knew it was very early anyway to have the lead, and that's why I've not come and spoke with any conviction about winning the league. But you'll have to ask me again after that Everton game. It is imperative we don't lose. But in saying that, you know the thing with the whole that, oh yeah, at least we got a point. Just say over those 4 games, we lost to Newcastle and won the other 3. That would give you 9 points. Whereas we look in the position here where we might even win. We might win 2. There might even be a draw and a defeat. 7. You get what I'm saying? So that defeat or win 2, draw 2, win 1, draw 3. Still, even with the defeat, you've still got more points. So I'm just wary of that the midfield have won things, but not in the Premier League. This is a real test of the mentality now till we get the players back. So I'm a little worried. But if we beat Everton, I'll be fine again. But just a little worried at how easily we were got at when we make changes. And this was always what the worry was over this festive period because it's too bunched up. I don't understand what they're doing because remember back in the day, we're all enough to remember. Prem used to be 42 games. They used to play. They used to play just before Christmas. They used to play on Boxing Day, and then they play again around the New Year section as well. But for some reason now, anytime there's a couple games between each other, I'm panicking. But back in the day, I was ready for the football, so I'm just wary of that because we've let a lot of people go out on loan. You know, a lot of people.
Bradley, I was shocked has gone out on loan.
The test is coming on now. No, I think Ramsey, Bradley's
still here.
Injured.
Is he there?
He's injured. He's injured. He's injured. It's Ramsey, the other right back. We let him go out on loan. Ben Doak's on loan. Kate Gordon's on loan. All these people that have been, but from that team basically that won the cup against Chelsea, there's barely any of those youngsters in the cup. I think it's just Dan's and McConnell because we sold Bobby Clark. We sold Bobby Clark to Salzburg. So I'm just thinking the squad's looking a little anemic for this particular period.
Okay, so Big Sam, just to wrap up with you, what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I've always said, especially on the show, that one of the things I've been impressed with our team compared to last season is that there's a stronger desire to win the ball when we lose it. Also, the play is more decisive and incisive, especially in the box. There's no mucking about like there was last season. Didn't see that in the first half against you guys, but in the second half, I damn sure saw that how we've been playing for this season so far in the second half against you guys. I am not, nor will I ever say that we are in a title race if there's not a considerable gap at the end of the year between us and other teams. And I'm talking about like 10, 11 points like there was between us and Man City. Now, I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think it's in us. Again, I like to be proven wrong, but I don't think it's in us to be that clear at the end of the year.
So you'll be in the title race, but you're not going to say you're going to win the league. Is that what
not by a considerable margin, no. I think it'll be tight. It'll be tight. But at the same time, at the beginning of the season, I didn't even consider us to be in the title race. I didn't think that we'd be in the position that we're in now. So again, a lot of football to be played, another 5 months to go. And as they always say, there's twists and turns. But so far, I've been happy with what I've seen. There's been some really dodgy games. Southampton gave me heart palpitations because I didn't think we were going to get anything from that. But we got the lucky penalty from, well, not lucky, but, a penalty from the handball. And, the game last night, it was great for the neutral. But, for me, it was, the Kelleher situation. I mean, he's a great keeper and mistakes happen, but it was just a kick in the teeth, man. Would you say, Sammy, that the last 2 games have been very Klopp-ish because we came
we brought all the fire
Yes.
and brimstone to City at the start
Man
and
City.
should have scored
And
4
then-
or 5
yeah.
in the first half, right? But then you saw the negative side of that yesterday because we've had so much control this season. You're sitting there as a Liverpool fan, you're thinking it's a little too good to be true.
Yeah.
We've not had this control in games since we won the title. And then yesterday, I'm just watching, as I said, I'm just watching in silence. Newcastle just up and down, and I thought I tipped these men to come fourth. If they play like this every goddamn game, it would be a certainty. And they're gonna go, and you're gonna go. No, sorry, I said fifth.
Yeah.
And they're gonna come, as I said, they're gonna go play against Brentford on Saturday, and I'm gonna watch you lot cussing out next week. I'm not even gonna be happy about it that it's not my team because of what you did to us. Yeah, we were panicking.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing about Newcastle as well, is that you don't have that European commitment. And I know you got injuries, and every team will suffer from injuries.
You've got one injury.
Okay. Yeah. So you're fortunate just to have one injury. So, if you have the same kind of under the lights sort of like competitiveness mentality in every single game you go into, at least to the end of the year, you'll be in there. Because that will just that consistency will just build and build and build. But again, it sometimes it feels like the inconsistency that I've seen from you guys makes it look as if that there's no purpose to you, there's no vision. What are you aiming for? Because I see you guys as a European team.
That's why they
Right.
That's why they've basically said that they want Eddie out in it. Sammy.
Yeah, man. But we'll leave that for another day.
Can I ask just a couple of questions? Because I've seen in the chat there's a couple of good points. One was from Ebon about Newcastle. If we could sign, what do we think if we sign that striker from
Cameron Archer? No.
Southampton, Cameron Archer? I think he's a level below us personally, or a couple of levels below us.
Yeah.
But I guess for Liverpool, I mean, again, what probably could have made a difference to you guys yesterday was having a DM. I think you lot have got a similar situation to us, isn't it? Where you kind of got
he doesn't fancy Endo. Yeah, just like he doesn't.
This is a shame, really.
Just like he doesn't really seem to fancy Nunes up front in midfield. Doesn't really seem to be a fan of Endo. And I wouldn't be surprised if Endo at least goes on loan in January because he's not using him. Because I would have thought it would make sense to put him in there and then get Gravenberch on. But obviously he's respected Newcastle in the fact that he started Gravenberch. But yeah, shout out thing as well, actually, because obviously Hall's been getting his plaudits, but I thought Livramento was decent because Gakpo didn't really get much change out of him to a point where Gakpo had to get taken off. You get what's up because Gakpo's been terrorizing people.
He's been very good. He's been very good.
He was good, man. He was good.
Right, listen, we're gonna have to wrap it there. We've gone for an hour and a half, but before we go, of the Double D Big Sam, we do the D&D Football Factory on a Saturday on Top FM 95.5. So check it out, 10 till 12.
Come on.
10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Back on the airwaves on Saturday. But yeah, thank you both for joining. Double D, I know you do a Europod as well, innit? Do you do still the Europod?
Yeah, we've got the European pod on the NC network, on all digital platforms. NC network. Me and Coach. Not one this week. He's been out the country. We'll be back next week, so we're going to have 2 or 3 game weeks to wrap up. But yeah, that is it's just hilarious because I pick up the attacking play and he slates the defending. Like it just works perfectly because we're too different. I want to talk about goals. You get me? He wants to. He wants to talk about good combination. But yeah, nice one.
Check it out. But yeah, we'll leave it there. Thank you all for joining. Don't forget, this is going to be out on the audio, the Spotify and Apple podcast. And yeah, keep liking, commenting, and subscribing to the channel. Much appreciated. And yeah, we'll probably do a review of the Brentford game. Hopefully we're all smiling, but I'm not sure. And yeah, big up, good luck Liverpool for the Everton game as well. But yeah, we'll leave it there. Yeah, so thanks for joining. And we'll see you next time. Peace.
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 Salute.